Hello and welcome to your #1 personality show, Star Chat. It is said that do not go where the path may lead. Go instead where there's no path and leave a trail. Ralph Waldo Emerson said this many years ago. Well, our guest tonight in 2017 became the youngest in the history of Ghana to be appointed at age 33 by the president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, as Deputy Chief of Staff in charge of operations at the Office of the President. He's a prominent Ghanaian politician and lawyer, currently serving as the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources. Born on April 22, 1983 to Abdullah Jinapor, a former police officer, renowned one of course, and a chief of Bupe in the Savannah region of Ghana. He has emerged as a dynamic and influential figure in the country's political landscape. Assumed position as caretaker Minister of Trade and Industry on the 16th day of January 2023. Our guest is also a product of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, having graduated with a Bachelor of Science degree in Physics in 2006. Interested, physics and what he's doing now. Well, he proceeded to the University of Ghana in 2008, where he earned Bachelor of Law in 2010, I should say. Same year, he was admitted to read LLB at the Ghana School of Law, Accra. His intellectual thirst and political aspirations led him to enroll to be trained as a lawyer, a goal he accomplished successfully. Consequently, he was called to the Ghana Bar in 2012 and has since been a qualified barrister and solicitor of the Supreme Court of Ghana. He earned his master's degree in law in Alternative Dispute Resolution, ADR, from the Faculty of Law, University of Ghana in May 2017. In the course of his studies, among others, he successfully took academic sessions in international, commercial arbitration, labor law, law and society. As a newly enrolled lawyer, he undertook his privilege at the reputable Kolendi at Law, an Accra-based commercial and corporate law firm, from October 2012 to August 2013. Studied under the tutelage of the renowned lawyer Johnny Kolendi, who is now a justice of the Supreme Court of Ghana. Within a relatively short period, he rose to the position of senior associate. His interest in country's public affairs encouraged him to join politics in 2004. And I must say that since then, his widely known and excellent political activism has taken him to the top. His first foreign relations exposure came when, at an early age of 23, he had an unusual opportunity to accompany the then President of the Republic, His Excellency John Ejekun Kufuor, on his historic stage visit to the United Kingdom in 2007 as a communications aide, where he made appearances on shows of various media houses in the UK. Then came the watershed moment, when in 2007, he was privileged and honored to be appointed by Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, then presidential aspirant of the New Patriotic Party, as a campaign aide in 2007, NPP presidential primaries. Well, a position he held both in 2008 and also in 2012 general elections. In 2020, while still performing his demanding task as Deputy Chief of Staff, he contested the parliamentary seat of Damongo and the maternal hometown of the former President John Dramani Mahama, the 2020 presidential candidate of the National Democratic Congress, NDC. Well, he won that highly competitive election with a significant margin of victory, becoming the first MP from the New Patriotic Party since the inception of the Fourth Republic. During the 2020 Ghanaian general elections as well, he won the Damongo Constituency parliamentary seat with 989 votes, I must say, making 54.1% of the total votes cast, while the NDC parliamentary candidate Adam also had 13,279 votes. Well, the man is here tonight and we're celebrating him. The man whom His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo nominated as Minister responsible for Lands and Natural Resources in the second term of government. As many pundits have attested, he has, and thus far, held and excellently delivered on his role with courage and integrity. As Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Samuel Jinapor has been instrumental in implementing policies aimed at sustainable land use, forest conservation, and the regulation of Ghana's mining sector. He has been vocal, yes, a vocal advocate for responsible mining practices and also environmental protection. Tonight, we sit down with our guest, who's been nicknamed Man of Action. But his nickname is also Soso. So Man of Action by his constituents is also known for his commitment to youth empowerment and community development. You're most welcome. Honorable Sam Jinapor, how are you doing?
Fine, thank you. But this is a lot of fans.
No, you've lived it in your 41 years of existence, right? This is impeccable.
It's a bit too much for me.
Oh, no. So it's your life, and that's why we're celebrating you today.
Thank you.
So we're live on Starr FM. Yes, right here in Accra. We're also live on Empire FM in Takoradi. We're live on Ultimate FM in Kumasi, and also live around the world. Star Chat is probably brought to you by MTN everywhere you go. Haptel is everything you. Koa Mixture for your general well-being. GCB Bank, your bank for life. And Top Choco, taste, nutrition, energy. Once again, welcome, Sam.
Thank you.
And you look, dapper, like they say. You look very, buff and very clean.
I'm trying to.
You don't look stressed at all.
I'm trying to match up with you. I'm trying to catch up with you.
How have you been, Honorable?
Well, we're hanging in, moving forward.
Love that. Thank you for joining us. And today, we really want to celebrate you, get to know you. I know that you don't grant personality interviews. How come this? Right, so Minister, tell us, how has it been like for you the past 3 years? I mean, being in office, how has this changed your life?
Well, first of all, Bola, like many of us young people in Ghana, I began my career, as you rightly pointed out, as a practicing lawyer, a practicing lawyer from Kulindi at Law. And for those who are familiar with the legal profession, you go to the office in the morning, 6 o'clock, you prepare your brief, you go to court, 9 o'clock, you close, you come back, you do solicitor's work, sometimes you close late in the night. So, very everyday person, and got a lot of tutelage from the renowned Yoni Kulindi, right. and learned a whole lot from him. And then got this rare privilege, and Mr. President appointed me Deputy Chief of Staff. And I should say, the kind of learning that I got from President Akufo-Addo, and a lot of my colleagues will attest to that. There's no such university. Wow. Extraordinary.
You call it the school of life.
Extraordinary. As Deputy Chief of Staff, it meant that I worked to the Chief of Staff, wow. Anti-Framer.
That's right.
And also work closely with the President, very closely. You are like an aide. Wow. So you go in and out into his office in a day like 10, 20 times or whatever. Wow. And the training was extraordinary. I give you an example. If you were working on a document with President Akufo-Addo, you could literally go back and forth with him about 20 times if you want.
Really?
Yeah, almost like a perfectionist.
That's how thorough he is.
That's how thorough he is. So that's good training. So how has this changed my life these past 3 years? The roles are fundamentally different. And for me, the most fundamental difference between being Deputy Chief of Staff or being a career lawyer and handling a ministry like this, I say is responsibility. As Deputy Chief of Staff, you don't take responsibility to the public because you are Deputy Chief of Staff. If anything goes wrong, it's the Chief of Staff who will respond to the public. Or if something went wrong, it's the President who responds to the public. So you are accountable to the Chief of Staff and then to a large extent to the President. But as ministers, if it's a lithium transaction,
a galamsey issue, you are in there.
You are with the public.
That's right.
If it's a matter to do with the preservation of our forests, yes. You are with the public. If you take a decision behind your desk, you have to defend it. You answer to the public. And so that is the fundamental difference. And really it's changed my life in many ways in terms of, high responsibility in terms
accountability
of and so on and so forth. But I always say this, look, let's face it, Bola. A lot of Ghanaians, everyday Ghanaians, have, in my view, more difficult assignments and jobs than I do. My mother, for example, was a nurse, and just so that my mom would give us a hot meal in the night or in the evening, my mom made it a point for a decade to take night duties throughout as a nurse. Mom would be. She was at the polyclinic here in Accra, and that meant that for 10 years, she went to work every day in the night. And there are many people like that.
Just for the children. So clearly, although it might be challenging, you feel that you were built to do this, and you've accepted it. You will serve the public and at large the nation.
I think by and large, we got some good training as a practicing lawyer, got extraordinary training and preparation, working in the hands of the president. And it's been 3 years, 6 months today as minister. How have I fared? The jury is still out there. I can mark myself. Right. I can give myself marks. But by and large, you just try to do your best. And you do your best in a manner that, in your judgment, will serve the nation.
You've given, credit to the president for appointing you to become, and that is in the books, the youngest deputy chief of staff in the history of Ghana. How did you receive that news? Sam, tell us, for the first time when the president gave you that call or called you to his office and says, look, I'm actually getting you into this portfolio, go and serve the nation. How was it like? Walk us through that moment.
I don't grant these interviews. but really what happened was that we had our final rally in the Eastern region. And this time around, it happened in Koko. Normally, the regional rallies will happen in the regional capital, Koforidua.
That's right.
And the president, after the rally, was going to visit, or if I was going to spend the night with his friends in Kou. And so he asked that I come over, I come with him. So we went together, and they entertained us and the rest. And he was to sleep, and I was about to leave, and he was in a car. So I went to sit by him, and then we had a discussion. This was 2 weeks to the elections, actually. And in the conversation, he was telling me,
his vision and what
do this, because he was dead sure that he was winning the election, actually. And then he turned and looked at me and said, but you are going to have a very important role to play. He just said that, and I left it. Okay. So when I go home, I think I go home about 1 a.m. My wife was waiting for me at the time, and I came and broke the news to her that President says I'm going to have an important role to play, and we were all so excited.
Wow.
After the elections, he called me into his office, steady at Nima.
Right.
I think at about 9 p.m. or something, and said to me that, look, this the arrangement he has. He's going to have a Jubilee House, and he said, you and essentially the two of you are going to be deputy chief of staff. And I was pleasantly surprised.
At 33, and you being, given that appointment and portfolio, you must have been beside yourself with joy. And did you also entertain a certain amount of fear that am I up for this task? Did it ever cross your mind?
Well, I don't think so. I just felt that there is a big responsibility, and I should say, in the initial stages, you are abundantly cautious. I mean, even to a fault, because you are just scared that you will misstep, and so you are always very cautious. I was lucky. I think I was lucky in terms of the person I worked under. The chief of staff is a very cautious woman, is a very diligent woman, and on top of it, she's also a mother figure. I always tease her when I tell her that she's a person who taught me how to minute on correspondence.
Oh, she did? Okay.
In private practice, ours is you write legal briefs, legal opinions and the rest. But in public service, I don't know if you are familiar with that, and every morning you come to your office, they are what they call in and out.
Yes.
Like they bring you correspondence, and you have to sit down and give directives or instructions or comments or whatever. And so I took it to her. I said, Madam, what is it? And then she walked me through how it's done. So I was lucky. And then also, I should point this out. The National Security Minister, Honorable Kandapa, came to Jubilee House every day to confer with the president. I won't go any further than that. And anytime he came, he stopped in my office. I was on the second floor, the president was on the fourth floor. He made it a point to always stop in my office, and all he will ask for is a cup of tea. And then he will you know, he would talk to me. He will guide me. And if I had issues which were bothering my mind, I put them before him. He was very invaluable in the initial stages. So you had guidance from all manner of people, all kinds of people who were very kind.
You must be blessed, Sam, to have mentors and role models that you can actually go to. Those that played that motherly, you know, role or figure, and also that fatherly figure for you politically as well. Give me 3 names of people that any day when you're, you know, waking up from your dream to say, who are these 3 politically that really influence your life? These 3 will be who?
Wow. The first obvious is the president.
The president.
No 2 ways about that. I mean, he is the man who gave me all the inspiration and all the mentorship and the strength, and in all humility and modesty. I mean, a lot of people don't know. I met the president when I was about 21 years.
You met the president?
Yes, when I was 21 years.
Wow.
I met the president in the circumstances. First of all, when I was in, I think, junior high school or so, I admired him. I admired him. And like many Ghanaians, young people, they, you know, some people are crazy about Jerry Rawlings for no reason. They don't know him. They've probably never seen him before in the rest.
For you, like it was Nana Akufo-Addo.
Nana Akufo-Addo. And you know, I recall even in 1998 when he lost the primaries, I was broken. You know, and I didn't know him.
At the time, you didn't know him.
I was in a village, and
Wow.
in 2000, in fact, this is my mates will testify to this. In the 2000 elections, there was a program on GBC where normally you have Akufo-Addo debating John Mahama, or you have Akufo-Addo debating Tony Edu. I think there's a third NDC person, Spiogabra.
Okay,
So
right.
when we were in class in secondary school and it had been advertised that Akufo-Addo was coming on radio, we would sneak out.
You did?
Yes, then we had a small radio set and then we'll listen to him. So the president gave me a lot of inspiration. And I met him through very extraordinary circumstances. I was going to look for a particular politician, and I'll withhold the name for now. And my dad was a station officer at Airport Police Station. And so I spoke to one of the police constables who was a friend. They used to go for night duties, guard duties. They used to go and guard the minister. I said, but where is the house of this politician, this minister? Once I mentioned the name of the minister, he assumed Akufo-Addo. So he said, go to Mensvik Hotel. You will find...
This is divine.
And his house is close by Mensvik Hotel. Yes. And then I went to Mensvik Hotel, mentioned this minister's name, and there and behold, they also said, they directed me to Akufo-Addo's house. So I went and sat there in the entrance of his hall, and the person who keeps his house, a gentleman called Kwesi, you know, said it's your turn, and the door had opened like that, and there I saw him, and I was not prepared. I was not coming to see Akufo-Addo. Wow. And as you know, as a person, was like very intimidated. Yes. So I walked in there sheepishly, and you know, went and sat down and said, young man, and I think that morning was a bit in a hurry actually. Wow. So he said, so I'm a MPP activist from the north. I popped in to say hello. So he just when he was about leaving, he posed a question. He said, what do I think about the upcoming succession in the party? And I said to him, it will be between you and one other candidate. So I mentioned another candidate. He said, why? And then I began and gave him my own perspective.
You were 21.
Yeah, and then immediately halfway through, he said, give me your number. And then he wrote my number down. In the afternoon, Mr. Yao Amfokwache called me that the minister wanted to meet me the following day. Then Minister for Foreign Affairs. The rest they say is history.
Interesting. Sam, you know, so you believe in, you know, God ruling in the affairs of men. You feel that this was divine. Here you were looking for another minister or another politician, and then you were led to Nana Akufo-Addo's house. Yes. And the rest they say is history.
Indeed.
Interesting. No regrets at all. So that will be his number one. I mean, the number one on your list for you. The other two will be?
Well, the other two, if you are talking about people who have made an impact on me politically,
right?
I think President Kufuor is a very deep man. He's a very, very deep man, and I've had multiple opportunities to engage him at close range and had very intimate discussions with him. And his thought processes and his whole thinking and the rest.
President Kufuor, you were with him during his state visit to the UK.
Yes.
And granted some media interviews at the time. You were 23.
Yes, but he got me to accompany him.
Wow.
Again,
how did that happen?
There's a particular radio station, and I'll mention the name, which President Kufuor, apparently when he was president, listened to literally every morning.
Okay.
And I used to feature also every week or so.
On that particular station?
Yes, and when he was traveling, he asked the then Minister for Information, Kwame Nabatels, Honorable Kwame Nabatels, and a deputy minister at the time was Auntie Oboshi.
Yeah, Oboshi's
and then the spokesperson for governance was Frank Ajekum.
Correct.
So he contacted me and said, look, come over. Do you have a passport? I said, I have a passport. So the president wants you to accompany him to London and so on and so forth. And that's when I bumped into him, actually, when we were there in England. So President Kufuor is an extraordinary figure. His impact on me, I would say, is extraordinary, and especially now. Because when he was president, I didn't have any close relationship with him.
Do you visit him from time to time?
Oh,
to
very
get
often. Very often. Anytime I have an opportunity, I go visit him.
Fantastic.
Just to talk. Because he's, you know, the perspectives he brings to bear and the guidance he gives, extraordinary.
Phenomenal. The third person will be?
Well, I can't think of a third person.
Are you struggling to name a third person?
No,
These great
I can't think of a third person.
Politically.
Except to say that Dr. Richard Anani, the former Minister for Roads and Health, was very instrumental in introducing me to the New Patriotic Party. Was extremely instrumental in introducing me to the New Patriotic. Because I was a student in KNUST, and at the time we had not formed any strong political views. And as I always say to people, I never, is it fortunately or unfortunately or indifferently, grew up from a political home. No. We never grew up in our home, our father being MPP or NDC, or our mother being MPP or NDC. Like many Ghanaian families, very normal, ordinary family, even though we discuss politics at home, our parents didn't bother.
They were indifferent.
They were indifferent. Oh. And so I did not grow up, I did not grow. I can imagine that my daughters will almost invariably take the part of MPP. Correct. And I suspect that my senior brother's children may take the part of NDC. I hope they don't. I hope I can.
Oh, is that a topic we'll talk about?
I can woo my nieces and nephews to the MPP. Maybe. No, but so we didn't have a political family. But Dr. Anani was the man who was then the Member of Parliament for Nshensu, and at the time the Minister for Roads, who properly introduced me into the MPP fraternity, even before, as I say, I met President Akufo-Addo. So I think a lot of credit goes to him, and I salute him for that.
Dr. Richard Anani.
Yes.
It's an interesting, scenario, and the dynamics are also, for me, interesting. You belong to the MPP. Your brother, John Jinapor, your senior brother, is with the NDC. How is it like in your home? And I know your other brother as well, Iso. He was my mate at the University of Ghana as well. Fantastic gentleman. I've heard many say, well, he's with the CPP. I don't know how true that is. So in your home, and saying that your parents are indifferent, how are you able to inspire many who are out there? Because I think of the Jinapors and I think of the Ahoys, the Yankers, Kojo Yanka being with NDC, Kwesi Yanka, Professor Kwesi Yanka with MPP, and you are also doing it very well. I see you at social functions and you sit with your brother, you laugh out at your 40th birthday, and it was just great. How are you able to do it, to inspire people that, look, there's a life beyond politics? Honorable.
Well, I think 2 or 3 matters which will put this matter in its proper context. First of all, John is my senior brother. And remember that I don't come directly after John. So there's a lady after John and myself. And so he's 4 clear years older than me. I think that context is absolutely important. And so growing up as boys, Professor Jinapor, your friend,
that's right,
the gentleman you call Iso,
yes,
was my far senior brother. He was 7 years older than me. Right. So he was, if you want, not reachable by me.
Okay.
So the person as boys who was, if you want, my trainer, really? Was John, and it's a fact. I mean,
wow.
I never met John in junior high school. By the time I got to junior high school, 1, he had left to secondary school. By the time I got to senior secondary school, 1, he had left to university. So he was very much my, first of all, my protector at the playground, and then my guide. And I always tease him. I always say this, that it's so funny. Even to date, as we are grown and everything, he still tries to deal with me.
Oh, he does?
You know, yes. That's, that sort of thing, you know.
Okay.
And I tell you something which is interesting. John never, we don't do that. It's not in our nature where we kind of advise each other or sit each other down and formal, you know. But one of those days, something happened, which I will withhold the details.
Okay.
And then he came to me in my house at my residence, and we sat down like this, and, you know, we call each other. He say, "Man," that's how he calls. He say, "Man, listen, this thing, that. Wow. No, be careful." And I just said to him, I hear you.
Did you see that as politics, or you thought
no,
your brother gave you sound advice?
It was a personal thing, something personal. He just said, you should. So I'm telling you, I'm giving you this point to let you understand how we were brought up, how we grew up.
Wow.
Then number two, we are, I would say, the best of friends.
Oh, you are?
Yes. I mean, if you ask him who is his best friend, he will say me, and vice versa. Because our senior brother, Professor Jinapor, for the, you know, much of the time when we're, you know,
growing up,
boys, I mean, grown-up adults, if you want, he was then pursuing academic qualifications in the United States. He was doing his master's and doing a PhD. So for almost 7 years, he was not in Ghana. So the move out and the rolling and the rest was John and I. And we're not into politics at the time. We're not politicians. So we are very good friends. We're very close. And thirdly, and I should point this out and do so very strongly, we never, is no such, I hear people say we sat down and say you go to MPP.
That's right.
You
didn't have such discussion.
Absolutely not the case.
Are you for real on that?
I am 110% for real on that. It's absolutely not the case. The circumstances under which he joined NDC are there. The circumstances under which I joined NPP are there. And finally, I can say that for him as well. We are 110% committed to our causes. 110%. And you realize, I mean, our wives and family people will attest to this, that in the past, now it's not more the case actually. It's not so much the case, let me put it that way. In the past, even when it's 3 months to elections, you see that our frequency of meeting and talking begins to drift apart and so on, because we get very locked into intense into our positions and fighting in our various corners. So that is it. I mean,
isn't it interesting? Well, some will also call it bizarre that you are with President Akufo-Addo. He's your guy, and you are his guy. And your brother John is with former President Dramani Mahama. That's his guy. Don't you clash? Do you sit down to say, Charlie, on these energy issues, I think that no, your party where you are tilting or going is not right? And does he also come to you on galamsey issues? You discuss politics at home. Do you or argue it out?
Yes, not argue it out. Occasionally, we have constructed. Look, there are people in the NDC in Parliament who are my very good friends. Wow. So how much more my brother? I mean, so that is not. It's not for me. It's not a difficulty. There are times we have discussions constructively about policy, about politics, about issues. But take it from me, when it comes to holding our respective corners, I certainly hold my own very tight, and I see that he does too.
Ever been confronted by party members to say, well, maybe this guy is a mole, he's a spy, he's with his brother, how can we trust him? Ever encountered such a scenario, and how did you handle it? When
we were in opposition, I went through a lot of that.
Wow.
I went through a lot of that, but I don't get bothered about those things. I don't get bothered because of two reasons. The first reason is that the person who was our leader in the person of President Akufo-Addo, at the time, candidate Akufo-Addo, was absolutely had full confidence in me and never wavered once. And in spite of all that people said, he was very resolute in terms of my loyalty, my commitment, and my dedication to the party generally, and him in particular. So that comforted me a lot. The second reason why, it never worried me is the fact that, Bola, politics, as they say, everybody's chasing people's tail. That's right. That's the business of that's the business of politics. Right. People want to get at you. People want to cut you down. I'm very, very excited that I held my own, and I showed and demonstrated my loyalty to my party, the NPP, and continue to do so to date.
What drives you as a person, even before a politician, as Samuel Jinapor, when you wake up? What is that mindset that you have that has been able to catapult you to this world? Because I've heard many say that, look, that is a future president out there. That's the future, Speaker of Parliament. People always feel that you're going a notch higher. What drives you as a person with regards to inspiration?
Oh, yeah. Let's make Baumia president.
Then after?
No, not even after. That's all that we are all.
Okay.
Our energies,
that's right.
Our focus, and everything at our disposal is to make that phenomenal leader the president of this country. I mean,
we'll talk about it some more, but what drives you as a person?
He's extraordinary, so we have to work at that.
Sure.
Now, like every young Ghanaian, I'm not sure that I'm different from the millions of young people in this country. You begin your life by doing your best to pass your exams, and thereafter you want to build a life, and you want to move from one step to the other. And I give a lot of credit to my parents. I mean, my father, for example, the Bupura, was extraordinary in our lives. All of us, not just me. Professor John, mother, myself, Nana. My dad.
You're five.
We're five. My dad was very committed to our education. He will forfeit everything, his personal comfort, to ensure that we have the best of education. For my mother, she was a juggernaut. She will do any and everything to support my father, to educate us. And the basic principles that we are all taught at home. Let's work hard, try and be honest, do your best, and one step to the other. My dad said to us, for example, that if you were even a sweeper, you're the person who sweeps, just sweep so well that when history is being written, they will say the Jinapor, the sweeper, was the best sweeper of his time. So that has always been the attitude. So, everyday person.
Great training and upbringing, if you ask me. And since you delved into family, I want us to talk about the tenets and also, some of the values that were instilled in you. And you mentioned the name Jinapor, and I think your dad has done a very good job that you are also upholding. Any Jinapor, the name Jinapor, no matter what, is one that people will associate with brilliance, with being outstanding in every field. For you, a dad being a chief police officer and traveling, migrating, moving from one place to the other. I don't know how many languages you speak though, but how did that shape your upbringing as well? Being the son of a police officer, how was life like?
Yeah, but before I answer that, I think it's important that I give a caveat, or I set one record straight.
Right.
And is the situation we find ourselves in today. My first daughter, sometimes will come to me and ask me a question, which I then have to sit her down and have a proper chat with her, a 9-year-old turning 10, because almost as if we are in a perfect world, we are in a sacrosanct world. So I need to tell her that, look, the world is not flat, it's spherical, it's undulating, and it's not everything that is perfect. So the first record I want to say is that we're not perfect boys at all.
That's right.
We're not. You take your time and do a little research into each one of us.
Okay.
You will find that a lot of it is just by His grace.
Okay.
You probably will not have completed school, or you probably will not have...
Were you that naughty growing up?
We're difficult boys.
Difficult,
we're in some respect, like many Ghanaian or the world in your
like they say, were you causing trouble? Were you a truant at school as well?
Some of it.
Oh.
Yeah, some of it. Like teenagers, a lot of teenagers struggle. And today, when people come to me and I'm trying to talk to them that, guy, Charlie, do it this way to work, I can almost tell their difficulty in assimilating what I'm telling them, because I had that difficulty as well.
You've been through that.
I've been through. So we're not perfect. Even today, as we speak now, if you probably spoke to Nada, my wife, she will tell you, but I
You're not
think
a perfect gentleman. Yes.
yeah, and so on and so forth. So, these days, social media...
What are some of the naughty things that you did?
Social media...
Honorable. That you look back and you say, we use that to advise the youth.
I think one of the things I would say is that I was a bit stuck in my ways.
Okay.
Stuck in my ways in terms of stubborn in my thinking, in what I believed in, and I'll give you one. I went to a Catholic school, and I struggled a whole lot to accept some of the teachings and some of the thank God and bless Father Jerome and my bishop, Peter Paul and co, for all the counseling and guidance they've given me that I've become a devout Christian today. But I struggle with it.
You rebelled?
More or less intellectually, ask questions.
Wow.
Difficult questions and questions that someone will say is evidence that you are a man of little faith or a young man of little faith. But anyway, the fundamental point I'm making is that these days social media creates an impression, and I can imagine there are a lot of people who are watching say, this young man, they're correct, everything brilliant, that. It's not 100%.
That's right. I love that.
Yeah, it's not 100%. So having said that, and I can now answer the question about how I was growing up like
Correct.
and the rest. First principles, normal Ghanaian family, and not extraordinary. Our parents were not affluent, and they were not poor. Very average, lower middle class family. I was born in Asante Mampong in the Asante region. And
heard you were named after a popular or prominent chief in Mampong.
Yes.
So your name is Eje.
Kwame Eje.
Kwame Eje.
Yes, my father, in fact, even today, my birth certificate is Samuel Kwame Eje.
Samuel Kwame Eje,
Yes.
not Samuel Jinapor.
No, Samuel Kwame Eje. My dad named me after a friend of his called Openyu Kwame Eje. He was a famous merchant in Asante Mampong who used to export cocoa and import those days, as you can imagine, import cigarettes and cloths and stuff like that. And he was very affluent, he was very rich. I suspect my dad was then a corporal to sergeant in Mampong.
Okay.
And this was the revolution days, PNDC days. And as you can imagine, security people at the time were very powerful. So I suspect this this merchant was very kind to my father. That's my suspicion. And so when I was born, he named me after him. But when I got to the north, I think the fear of Northern scholarship and the rest, I found I had a way of influencing the change of name, even though I ended up schooling in a private secondary school. But anyway, as I say, normal family, no, up or down, and close family. Mom and dad been married together for close to 50 years now, and we are lucky. We were united in many respects and continue to be so. Went through normal ordinary schools. I went to Fufuso Primary School, and then went to St. Anne's.
Secondary school was?
St. Charles. I went to Catholic schools.
Oh, right.
I was that lucky. I went, in fact, my dad had a policy where when you were to graduate from primary school to junior high school, because the primary school, where we had our primary school, was a complete rural community. No electricity, no water, none of that. So he then made a point to take us to the district capital, which is Damongo. And so John had his junior secondary school in Damongo. And I should give him that credit. He was the best student at the time. He made distinction. Wow. He scored better than I did. Far better, actually.
Far better, right.
And then, so you went there, and then you did your junior high school in Damongo. Fortunately for me, I sat for the entrance exam to St. Charles Minor Seminary. The minor seminary essentially is to prepare young ones to go to seminary.
That's right.
And thank God I...
You should have been in there. Why didn't you enter or get in there?
Thank God I escaped it.
You didn't want to become a father, a Roman Catholic father? Did you harbor that ambition to be one or not?
Let's leave that for another day.
What made you change your mind? No. Sam, tell us. Today you're on the show.
Change your mind.
Yes.
Change your mind actually will mean that I thought about it in the first place, or I'd made up my mind to go to
Never.
seminary.
Did it cross your mind?
I will plead the Fifth Amendment. I will not comment on that.
I grant you that.
So so I did secondary school in St. Charles, and then, in fact, my father wanted me to be a medical doctor. But I got admission to UDS Medical School, and then got admission to do physics in KUST, and then I got admission to do mathematics in Legon.
Wow.
But I had enrolled into I think the KUST admission came first. We had paid fees and so on and so forth. So it was not an option for me to then now move from KUST. So having paid the fees in KUST, there was no way I was going to now have my parents were going to afford another badge of fees to
But
do
you
medical
really
school.
wanted to become a medical doctor. Was that in the
Well,
works?
I think it was that thing. You know, when you're growing up,
Right.
your parents identify one person, they say they want him to be a doctor. So I went to KUST and read physics, which I enjoyed thoroughly. Physics, enjoyed pure physics.
Pure physics.
Yes.
So
yes,
physics
yes.
and law. I mean, where's the synergy, and how did law come into the scheme of things for you?
Well, but don't forget, some of the greatest lawyers
Right.
and celebrated
This science, yes.
celebrated jurists of history started with science. Yes, Lord Thomas Dennis. He studied, I think, mathematics also. Several. Margaret Thatcher was a lawyer. She did chemistry. So science gives you a certain perspective in terms of problem solving.
Right.
You know, and doing so methodically. And I did science from secondary school. I did chemistry, I did physics, I did biology, I did additional maths.
And maths. So pure physics.
Yeah, and then
in the university. Sharp guy.
Oh, really?
Which hall were you in at KNUST?
I'm not too sure about that.
Yeah,
I'm not too sure about sharp guy.
Don't worry.
But the point is, I did additional maths. You know, and we're just a few of us in secondary school. My school, first of all, was in a big school. I think the whole population was about 200 of us or so.
St. Charles. Okay.
But those of us who did the 4 science courses were just a few people. And then, of course, as I say, I went to do physics. And physics, it's another thing altogether.
Another thing altogether. We'll talk about it as we go for the break. But which hall were you in at KNUST?
KUST, I did almost all the halls of Bola.
Oh, really? How come?
You won't believe it. I began...
That's an interesting story.
Very. I began first year in Queen's Hall, which was, as you know, in, out.
That's right.
So the in was Queen's Hall. And I enjoyed myself thoroughly because whereas others were 4 in a room, we had a dormitory of a sort in a corner. And we were about 10 of us. There were about 10 of us in there with patches and so on and so forth. And so it meant that when I was in the university, just like secondary school, we were about 15 people in a room of diverse backgrounds.
Right.
And I'll tell you one little story. You know, when we went to school, I won't mention names. Some of my friends will come with cornflakes and come with needle, come with milk, you know, corned beef and the rest. And then we begin the semester, and then we get going. My father would travel to Bupe, and on his way back, he'll bring me yam and kubi and the rest. They'll be laughing at me. And then I'm patient. I keep my yam under my bed and preserve my kubi and all of that. In the middle of the semester, corned beef is finished, cornflakes is all done. So when I do my cow, and I put my I put my and the women who used to sell the garden eggs and the rest, they were my friends. Whoa. So I had credit, so I could go and get the tomatoes and the rest. And then, as you know, you put it in a rubber, you tie it. Yes. While the cow is boiling, then you put it on it, then you then you put the egg on it.
Interesting.
And when you finish,
are you a good cook?
No, not so much a good cook. You know, then you put then they start coming around. They want to come and eat some of my cow. you see,
interesting. You know what? We're going for a break. When we come back, we're talking about Green Ghana Day. We're talking about your life, and also we'll get into galamsey. We'll talk about what you've done for the community as well, and the ministry itself. So there's a lot more right here on Star Chat with Honorable Sam Jinapor right here on Star Chat. We'll be right back. And a big thank you to our sponsors. And we say a big thank you to MTN. MTN Extra Time. All those days when you are low on everything, energy, time, cash, and even airtime and data. Well, that's why MTN Extra Time is there for you. They're giving you data advanced service that allows you to make calls or browse the internet even when you have insufficient balance. So doing your favorite things on MTN means that you don't get interrupted even when you are low on airtime and data. Please remember all T's and C's apply. MTN Extra Time, MTN everywhere you go. And I've got some great news for you from Heartfelt instant car insurance sticker. I mean, that is some great news out there. Sometimes, buying your car insurance isn't the problem. It is when you forget to renew it and then you get into trouble with the police or an accident. Instant car insurance is now on Heartfelt. Get your instant car insurance sticker anytime. It's simple. Go to heartfelt.com/app and install your Heartfelt app. Heartfelt is everything you. And a big thank you to Bill's Credit, Bill's Microcredit. For 15 years, Quick Credit has been trusted. And you know it is your partner in micro lending, empowering lives and making dreams a reality. Today, we are excited to announce a new age. Quick Credit is now Bill's Microcredit and is still committed to serving Ghanaians and changing lives. Bill's, financing your needs. And to all the guys out there who are looking forward to escape the hustle and bustle of Accra, now I've got some news for you. Sanctuary, Def Traco Woodlands. And thank you, Def Traco, for joining us on Star Chat as well. We welcome you. Now, this is a master planned gated community in Dowenya, just a minute's drive from Central University. 592-acre landscape, only from Def Traco. And this is Def Traco Woodlands, offering you service plots and homes, and a great community with well-planned roads, utilities, and top-of-the-line security systems, fire and police stations as well. So it's simple, call Def Traco on 020-873-2302. That's 020-873-2302. And visit woodlands.deftracogroup.com for more information. And we're saying goodbye to memorizing 1,001 short codes. MTN is making it possible. They're asking you to experience a complete one-click access to all MTN services with an MTN app. So you can now check your airtime, data, and Momo balance. So you know it. It's MTN everywhere you go. And a big thank you to Top Choco as well. There's nothing more pleasing than Top Choco delivering chocolate spread on your bread. So it has the power to awaken your taste buds and make you happy instantly. Get your hands on Top Choco today and experience the joy of chocolate spread in a cup. Top Choco is chocolatey. So as we wrap it up right here also on Star Chat is some great news from the New Force. It's the New Force Save Ghana Fund. Are you tired of the same old political rhetoric? Do you believe that it's time for a change that truly represents the voices of our youth, women, and children? Make welcome Nana Kwame Bediako, the presidential candidate who is not promising change but actively working to make it happen. So visit nkb.com.gh or dial star 887 star 2024 hash, and then you can donate. Go out there and join the Nana Kwame Bediako Save Ghana Fund campaign. Your support, no matter the amount, is not just a donation, it is an investment in a shared desire for a prosperous and better nation. Welcome back. You're on Star Chat. My name is Bola Ray, and our guest is the Honorable Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Honorable Sam Jinapor. Welcome back, sir.
Thank you, Bola.
Right. So we were talking about KNUST days, you read fixes and all of that. Which year did you get married? Was it right after school?
2013.
2013. You must
yes.
have been how old then? What?
14th December 2013. 30 years, yes.
30 years. Wow. You dated this lady for quite some time?
Yeah, so I met my wife in law faculty. We're mates.
You met her?
In law faculty.
Law faculty. Oh, you were mates?
Yeah, we're mates. In
right.
28, August 28. That's how we met.
Your first girlfriend? Was there a lady in context before she came to just kick her out and you really saw that this was a soulmate? Because I can see that she's done a very good job on you. Your friend, why are you laughing? You know, I can see your eyes have actually lit up in the way. Was she your first girlfriend?
That's why I escaped these interviews.
How was it? How did you meet up with your lovely wife?
Well, you know, I gained admission to study law in the law faculty, Legon. And she also had been admitted to the faculty. And it meant we're in the same class. And a friend of mine called Wasti.
Wasti,
yeah,
okay.
Harry Ephraim Dako. I've actually lost contact with him. We were standing there and we saw her drive to the compound.
Wow.
She had a PT Cruiser or something. She was a dada back.
Oh, back then, and your wife comes from a very great home.
Dada back.
And you were the hustler. Was it love at first sight? He said, this Chinese girl there.
Plowing through.
Yes,
Trying to find my way. You know,
Right.
I found my way to law faculty. I'm calibrating and see how I move.
Yes.
I move from there. You know, and she just drove past in a PT Cruiser with a teddy bear at the back, and you know, and so we started. She got out, walked past, and Wasti and I were talking about her. Say, we left it at that. So one of these days, she was with her friends in class, and I think we had been in school for about 2 weeks or 3 weeks, so we had familiarized ourselves a little bit, but I had never spoken to her.
Okay.
So she was with her friends in class, and I walked up to her and said, oh, whenever she has a moment, I like to have a quick chat with her. And she said, oh, she has a moment, we can talk now, you know, that sort of thing. And then I just, you know, I backed up and then retreat.
You weren't ready, but you went to test the waters.
But then we became friends.
Okay.
We became friends, very good friends. And we were friends for the 5 or so years.
Because you met her in 2008. Got
And we
married in 2012.
2013.
2013, so 5 years.
Yeah, so we're friends. We're very, very good friends.
Wow.
You know, you find us almost everywhere together. And
So you were campus birds, love birds.
Well, it didn't start that way. You know, we didn't start a relationship, you know, at once. We're friends, and you know, we fancied each other, and it got into relationship, not so much here and there.
Yeah.
But there was, for me, there was a big added advantage. You know, the mom is a very good cook, and her hobby is to cook. So as a student, it meant that lunch, dinner, and the rest, I was a bachelor at the time. Oh. Those boxes were ticked. So on a more serious note, we're very good friends. Right. And I think
was it love at first sight? You really contemplate and also imagine that, well, this is the woman I want to settle down with and the mother of my kids.
I admired her a great deal. Wow. And it took me some effort to get her to that point as well. I'll put it that way.
You're a top man. and for her, I read that her dad is also, I mean, a very top political figure.
Yes. Her dad was the NDC member of parliament from 2000 to 2004 for Saboba. And her dad was deputy minister for first agriculture and subsequently land and forestry under President Rawlings from 1997 to 2001. And her dad was also the Minister for Fisheries and Aquaculture under President Mohammed's government. Yeah.
Interesting. So how did that work out? Getting to know that there is an MPP boy coming into their family. They are top NDC people. How did you navigate your way through?
Oh, he should forgive me that I'm going to say this about him. I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure how he will take it. But he's a consummate gentleman. Fantastic. He's a decent man. I have a lot of time for him. Wow. And he has a lot of time for me too. And, you know, when I was in junior high school, I stayed with my mother's father, who was educated and who had a big impact on me. He's late, Hans Achilo, and whom I celebrate a lot. And a lot of attributes of Hans Achilo, I see them in my father-in-law. Very calm, very measured man, very collected, deep and wise. Wow. And so throughout our courtship, when we walked in and out of his house, never, no political conversation, no questions. I don't know what his thinking was. I think his attitude was that, you know, who my daughter fancies and the rest, apart from if, for example, he brought somebody awkward into the home, I leave it to her. I think that's what exactly what happened. All. I think that's what happened. So there was not a question whatsoever from him, or he never questioned our relationship that I'm MPP. And I, as you know, in those days in opposition, I used to be very,
very, very vocal, and
very hard, you know. And he never showed. If he got to him, he never showed it.
Wow. And your wife, by default, would have been. Is she MPP now?
Oh, you see, I think the best thing we should do is that after this interview, put her in this chair too. And then you ask her a few questions.
Because you said your daughters are actually going through your line. So clearly your wife has been able to move from
I'm hoping they will.
Interesting. But how's life as a father? Or like, 16th of June will be Father's Day. You have how many children?
Yeah, we have 4 children.
4.
We have
Fantastic.
1 9-year-old.
Okay.
And then we had triplets. Can you imagine?
Whoa.
Yes.
You're a sharpshooter. Wow. Wow.
We have triplets.
They're how old?
They are 6 years old.
Fantastic.
The 9 is turning 10 in September, and then the 6 are going to turn 7 in December.
Are you still going to shoot for more?
If it works, why not? Me, I like children. You can get 1 or 2 more.
No, 1 or 2 more. You have 4, so you want to have like 6 or 7.
That wouldn't be a bad idea.
Fantastic. Fantastic. What kind of father?
I don't believe in having few children.
Oh, you don't?
No. The most important thing is if you can look after them. And I think that a lot of it even should come up for discussion. That
people should have a lot.
Yeah, here in Africa, why we have so much land.
People are saying 1 or 2 is ideal.
No. So it's a wrong attitude. We have a lot of land here in Africa.
Correct.
We have the youngest population in the world. And by all intents and purposes, Africa is the world's tomorrow. There's no 2 ways about that.
True.
Everything that is supposed to have happened in the developed world is gone. Here is the future. Africa is the future.
In fact, it's there now.
And there's absolutely no question about that. Population is an asset, human resource. The most important thing is whether or not you are able to produce quality human capital or quality human resource. So if people can look after 5 people and produce doctors out of them, and produce entrepreneurs out of them, and produce engineers out of them, let it be. Why are we insisting that people should have 2 children?
Standard of living and how we are in Africa and all of that. It's going to stretch, our logistics and also, facilities beyond their technical capacity. So they feel that 1, 2 at most should be fine. Other than that, it will be overpopulated.
The only reason why I will buy into that is if, for example, there are health implications for the woman or...
aside
that, no. If you can look after them,
right.
If you can raise them properly, if you can educate them properly, if you can inculcate the best values and morals into them, and they'll become valuable citizens of the country and contribute to societal advancement, let us have it. Ghana, 33 million of us. The population is too small.
Wow.
Yes, it's a small population. Our growth rate should be higher, provided always that we have the system in place to guarantee education, to guarantee health care.
Exactly my point. So health care will be an issue, education, because already with the facilities that we have, many, like I said, are saying that, look, we are stretching beyond its technical capability. So education will be a problem. Look at our healthcare delivery system. So the hospitals, it means that if people are giving birth a lot more, then we are actually not in the right position to do that.
I have 4.
Yes.
And mercifully, they have a fantastic mother.
That's right.
And I have an awesome wife in her. So if we can produce more, why not?
Wow. So you're looking at 6 or 7, right?
Yeah, if we can add 1 or 2. And the thing about it is that I grew up in a home which was big family. So I'm attracted to having a big family.
Fantastic. Getting attracted to it, I know you love your job as well. Tomorrow, we're celebrating Green Ghana Day. It's an epic moment, something that you instituted, because it's going to be the 4th edition. Your initiative, how did you come about this great, groundbreaking, if you want, idea? First of all, why is this so important?
Well, I think it's absolutely important because, as you know, we've lost our forest cover as a country. A considerable cover of Ghana is gone. The many parts of our country, like in Ahafo, Ashanti, Western North, and the rest, we had massive forest reserves, and we're losing all of them. So we have a lot of degraded forest reserves, and it's important that we engage in aggressive afforestation and reforestation. There are a number of measures we put in place to restore the lost forest cover of our country. One is cordoning of the forest reserves and ensuring that the forest reserves are protected from illegal attacks and illegal harvesting of wood and the rest. The second is ensuring that we have continuous afforestation and reforestation, and we have all kinds of measures there. Private plantation, people are planting. We have farmers we have an arrangement with them where they plant as they farm and they earn income out of that. And also this is one of the other measures, the Green Ghana Day, which is taking place tomorrow, where all of us will go planting. We've planted, so far we planted 41 million trees.
41 million
trees from 2021 to
from
date.
2021 to date.
41 million
trees.
Yes. And the Forestry Commission's assessment is that 30 million of them have survived to date. That is extraordinary. A lot of degraded forest reserves are now being revamped as we speak today. And the other advantage is also to inculcate in our people the culture of tree planting and the importance of planting trees. So I think it's a very noble undertaking. It's a very extraordinary intervention we are making tomorrow, June 7th, Friday, the Green Ghana Day. I think all of us should buy into it.
How many trees are we planting tomorrow, Minister?
We are targeting 10 million trees.
10 million trees?
Yeah, but we hope to exceed that.
Wow, interesting. And how much do we have to spend on this initiative this year?
Well, the thing about the Green Ghana Day is that, by and large, what we've been trying to do is to, as much as possible, not burden the public exchequer or not burden the public purse in funding this. And so you'll be surprised to know that the allocation that the central government, the Ministry of Finance, is made for Green Ghana Day is 1.5 million Ghana cedis. Even that is not been disbursed fully. We've found a way of raising money from private corporate Ghana, individuals, and as well as getting faith-based organizations and non-governmental organizations to donate seedlings. Okay, because it's not just about money, it's about the seedlings, and also having corporate Ghana adopt compartments, planting in those compartments, nurturing the trees they plant, and making sure that they grow to maturity. So the planning committee can give you the details of how much they spend, but it's not all about money. I think the point I'm trying to emphasize on is that it's not all about money, it's logistics. And the logistics, look, the Ghana Armed Forces, for example, from 2021 have been extraordinary when it comes to their contribution to this greening of our country, where they provide helicopters, they provide vehicles, they provide manpower.
It's a major event.
It's a major event tomorrow. And so we are actually having the president plant the commemorative tree at Bema Camp tomorrow at the Nicholson Stadium, because we think that we should have an occasion where we'll recognize the Ghana Armed Forces properly for the contribution that they've made. So tomorrow, Bola, you have to plant.
I have to. What time are you doing that? I think that also for us at EIB Network, we would want to call on the minister if he can give us some trees to plant. And I believe it's a call on everybody within your vicinity, community. Why not? Are we making available trees for people to plant or seedlings? What are we doing?
Before you leave, I'll give you some seedlings and I'll give you some T-shirts. And tomorrow I'm hoping that you will don the T-shirts.
Why not? We are with you. It's all about sustainability. And like you rightly mentioned, in this age and time of climate change, I want to know, what is that plan for sustainability in all of this? Because with a global recession, there's been talk of green bonds, carbon credits, and all of that. How much of this Green Ghana is helping us access these green bonds and also aid in helping our economy?
It's a big market, and it's a source of extraordinary wealth. And it's also an area where governments across the world are using to raise massive capital for development. And I'll try and explain in very simple ways.
Sure.
The fight against climate change has meant that the world is insisting that companies should have what they call net zero carbon footprints. So that if you are an oil producing company, and you flare carbon dioxide, you should have carbon credits in, say, afforestation schemes to offset it. So that if I flare, let's say, 20 carbon dioxide, I should have planted trees which absorbs, the carbon, and it's a whole market.
Are we doing that here in Ghana?
I'm getting to that point. It's a $1 billion market, and here in Ghana, we've come out with a carbon market, carbon trading, carbon credit policy. But as we speak, I have a technical team that is working on nature-based carbon credit, carbon market, carbon trading policy, which I intend to take to Cabinet for approval and hopefully take it to Parliament to legislate, where we will have the proper framework where nature-based climate action, which is forestry, biodiversity, landscape restoration, and so on and so forth, will all be put together as a source of income. And Bola, I know you are an entrepreneur as well.
Yes.
You should take a look at that area.
I want
it's,
to.
it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money.
Yes.
So if you're able to plant, say, hectares of forest, you are able to measure the carbon sequestration and sell it and get credit and sell it and earn money. Good money.
I love that you're actually going to present this to, cabinet. And once that is, pulled through, I know there are many young entrepreneurs who would also want to look into that area because it's a great initiative. I want to salute you, for that. But closely linked to deforestation, we all know, is the source of, and we know, the scourge of illegal mining. I know it's a big bother for you. You've waged a relentless war against it from the beginning of the Akufo-Addo administration. Where are we now? 7 years. What is the status reports on the fight or our fight against galamsey?
Well, first of all, I think it's important for us to appreciate that the issue of illegal small-scale mining has a whole history. I'm not sure we have time to go into that, but the situation where small-scale mining was banned, was outlawed in the 80s, and the PNDC government at the time took steps to try and regularize it and try and make it lawful, all the way through the 90s to the year 2000s, where the regulatory framework or the enforcement and regulatory mechanism to deal with small-scale mining broke down completely to date, where we've now been taking measures to try and regulate small-scale mining and try and ramp up the enforcement measures and so on and so forth. And so it is a major issue when it comes to the extractive industry anywhere in the world. If you go to South Africa, they call it Zama-Zama, where illegal small-scale miners are armed and are able to even attack security people, military people. If you go to Australia, they call it prospectors, which is a major problem. I was in Perth, and my counterparts' biggest headache has to do with illegal small-scale miners there. But we're dealing with it. We're dealing with it. We are not out of the woods yet. We've not gotten to a satisfactory situation. We still have issues to do with illegal small-scale mining, which affects our forest reserves, our river bodies. I'll be the first person to admit that. But I think by and large, we've been able to put in place a mechanism which is exorcised the culture of impunity, where people just went about engaging in illegal mining indiscriminately, without any consequences, without any accountability. That, I believe, is a major step forward. And then also the reformative measures we are putting in place, such as community mining, such as bringing special equipment for extracting the gold from the ore without using mercury, the licensing regime which you've put on online, and also even the idea that the presidential candidate of the NPP, Dr. Bawumia, is brought up, where he wants to establish a minerals development bank where we will be able to finance these entrepreneurs who want to go into small-scale mining. All of these gamut of measures, I believe, have given us, has meant some considerable successes, but I think it's absolutely important that when we discuss this matter, we admit that it cannot be an event, it's a process, and we are not out of the woods yet. We've not gotten to where we have to be, but we are not going to relent in coming to grips with the issue of small-scale mining in our country.
I love your being candid and being honest about it. On a scale of 1 to 10, with the fight against galamsey, where will you rate or put yourself, the ministry, in terms of, yes, your success?
Well, what I would say, we're making the efforts. We're working around the clock to deal with this matter. We will continue to do so, and we will do so more, absolutely importantly, in an atmosphere of transparency and integrity, and as you said, candor. Yeah. A scale of 1 to 10, where will I put the ministry? The jury is out there. I'll leave it to the pundits.
Is it about 5?
Never mark yourself.
Well, we'll look at that. But is it about 5?
Never mark yourself.
Well, but has the fight against galamsey been worth our time, efforts, and resources?
Well, it is worth our time, effort, and resources. There's absolutely no two ways about that. But it's also a matter which we have to recognize that it requires concerted effort over a period of time, and the tools to deploy to sanitize that industry are multifaceted. It cannot be enforcement alone.
Okay.
It cannot be just soldiers, police, arresting the people, throwing them into jail.
Approach?
It should be one of the two. It should be a carrot and stick approach.
Okay.
There is also the part of it where you have to reform the industry. There's also the part of it, Ebola, which is the business part of it. Where do they get money to be able to set up proper small-scale mining enterprises, which is where the Minerals Development Bank comes in.
Okay.
As it is today, the Ghanaians we arrest every day are normally the by-day people. They go and they get into this pit.
So it means that we have masterminds of this crime against humanity. There are people, big shots behind these people.
And foreigners who bring in the money to buy the excavators, the little chaps who are in Obuasi and Takwa and Bibiani, and where are they going to get money to buy 10 excavators, 20 excavators? These are big players out there, okay, cartels who come in and literally just recruit them and use them for their purposes. But since you've asked, you see, look, this ministry, a lot of talk goes on about galamsey and illegal mining. But we have a lot of problems with land administration as well here in our country, which is a big issue. And I sometimes say that people tend to think that illegal small-scale mining is probably the biggest issue that we're having to deal with.
It's not?
Well, it's one of the big issues, but land administration is a nightmare as well. Reforming the land tenure system, ensuring that we have land administration which is fit for purpose, which can contribute to economic growth and development and so on and so forth. It's a major one. And then the forest estate of our country, forest management, is another big one. So really, we have how many months to go? 5, eh?
5 months, yes.
I'm praying to God that God sees us through these 5 months, and then we get out of this come 7th of January 2025. And by the grace of God, I'll have a Thanksgiving service in Damongo, which I will invite you.
We'll talk about that. But you mentioned land guards as well in terms of land administration. Chiefs are playing a role, the land guards and all of that. Tell us, maybe something we need to know. How is the ministry dealing with this canker?
The history is always important. I mean, that's the biggest guide. Always remember that our land tenure system is fundamentally unique. It's different from many parts of Africa. As you recall, when the colonial government of the time attempted to appropriate the lands of Ghana for the crown at the time, John Mensah Saba and Co., the Aborigines Rights Protection Society, and several other civil society organizations at the time, nationalist figures of the time, stood up in the 19th century, 18 something, stood up and protested and did so successfully. And so Ghanaian lands were never appropriated to the crown. Unlike Eastern Africa, where if you go to Zimbabwe, for example, literally all the lands are vested in the state. If you go to Kenya, it's the same thing. And they have problems with that, which is why the biggest political issue in East Africa, if you want, is land. You know, and even the wars that they've had been because of land. And here in our country, it therefore means that most of the lands, in fact, if not all of the lands, are vested in stools, skeins, families, and clans. The state itself has just about 10% of land. If you go to Asanteman, for example, literally 95% of all lands in Asanteman are vested in a golden stool. And so the question then arises how to put in place the right policies, the right architecture to ensure that you administer these lands properly. You have chiefs or families or clans or individuals being able to bequeath lands, being able to lease lands, and then keeping records and so on and so forth becomes a problem. We've just passed a new Lands Act, you know, the Lands Act of 2020, Act 1036, which is really, in my view, which gives a very good legal framework to be able to assist us in land administration. We are working to digitize the records of the Lands Commission so that you have all the records at Lands Commission, whichever records, whether it's records related to family lands or stool lands or skin lands or clan lands or state lands, all of them are documented in a manner that no one can compromise, no one can impeach, and no one can challenge. So there are a lot of measures we are putting in place, a lot of work, and also decentralizing the operations of the Lands Commission, as well as decentralizing the operations of the Minerals Commission. As you may know, yesterday I went to Akim Odan to commission a Minerals Commission office. Yeah. We are building these offices across the country. We are taking the operations of the Minerals Commission to where the mining takes place. So is it also that we are taking the operations of the Lands Commission, both its policy role.
So the HQs are going to be outside Accra?
Yes, we're building them across the country, where we're going to have Lands Commission offices everywhere, and also have a system where the system speaks to each other. And if you were in, say, Takwa, and you wanted to conduct a search, you go on your computer, I want to buy land for Bola Ray, it pops up, the land belongs to you.
How soon are we doing this, Minister?
We've done about 20% of it already, and we are just at the final stage with the Ministry of Finance to put the nail in the coffin, and when that is done, the president will launch it, and it's a PPP arrangement where within a period of time, all the records of the Lands Commission will be digitized. That is the only way we can have a land administration system in Ghana which is fit for purpose. Because the problem with land administration is the situation where people are able to take files.
That's right.
People are able to pull papers out of files. That's where we are. We cannot continue like that, and we cannot build a country of prosperity, of economic activity, when the basic fundamental tool for economic activity, land, the issue of its credibility is in doubt. No, right. We can't.
Let's get into the 2024 elections. 2024 just around the corner, December 7th, if you may. You won the Damongo constituency, 2020, with a gap of 3,000 votes. In the Fourth Republic, the MPP has held the seat twice, in 2000 and then 2004. Are you confident that you've done enough to hold the seat, or there's a real threat from the NDC?
Well, first of all, Damongo is an extraordinary constituency. It's not your normal constituency. It was created in 2012. The MPP has never won it before, since it was created in 2012. Yes, when it was Damongo Daboya, we won it marginally twice. But from 2012, we've never won it. We lost it in 2012, we lost in 2016, and 2020 we won. That's first point. Second point, I won the election with a margin of 3,000 votes. But remember that my opponent had a margin of also 3,000 votes in 2016. So when you look at it, the flip is actually 6,000. However, President Mahama won the presidential vote there with a margin of 3,000 votes. So we did not win the presidential vote. We won the parliamentary vote with equal numbers. So that also makes it quite extraordinary. Thirdly, President Mahama's mother comes from Damongo. President Mahama himself was born in Damongo. And so when you put all these factors together, I never, ever get complacent. I've gone about it with the attitude of working for the people, being very respectful of the people, being accountable to them, recognizing that they hold the mandate, they hold the power, and campaigning effectively and vigorously, and never taking them for granted. I'm very hopeful, I'm very optimistic, and I hope to win in December. But I have to work for it.
So you're saying that it's not a walk in the park?
No, no, it's not. It cannot be. Damongo, Hohoi, a few other constituencies. Those are constituencies where if you take your eyes off the ball, you could be sorry. 5 key developmental projects that you've delivered to your people out there as proof of able leadership. 5. Well, look, I will talk about the things that are dear to me. The first and foremost for me is education. Education is absolutely, absolutely important. Let's face it, but for education, Bola, I won't be seated here. Right. Probably, will be somewhere else. So education is very important. So I pay a lot of attention to education. So infrastructure is key.
What have you done in terms of education?
Built a lot of schools across the constituency. Built so many schools. 6-unit classroom blocks. In fact, I think next 2 weeks I'm going to go and commission a junior high school in Soro number 2. It's a small village. between Canteen and Bupe. And I'm going to commission a school there. There's a school going on as I speak to you in Almanara, as we speak, building a 6-unit classroom block. As I speak to you, there's a school we are building in Grupe, which is a 6-unit classroom block. We've done extraordinary interventions in the secondary schools, the 2 secondary schools in terms of infrastructure and so on and so forth. So massive infrastructure development when it comes to education. But not just that, but also the effort we have made to ensure quality education in the constituency. I, for example, have sat down with the authorities in the constituency and the region as a whole. And one of the big issues we identified was supervision. And so we had to provide some pickups, some motorbikes.
That's in the field of education.
Yes,
the next
so that's
one.
The second one is agriculture.
Okay.
The people have to live. Yeah, they have to have economic activity. And the main economic activity in that constituency is agriculture. So we have the Damongo Constituency Farmers Empowerment Program, where every year we provide tractors, we provide fertilizers, we provide weedicides, we provide insecticides. In fact, this year we are talking about 10,000 bags of fertilizers. We have about 5 tractors as we speak, plowing all over, on ground, working for them, and we provide them with insecticide, weedicides, overalls, and the rest. So a whole program for agriculture. The third one is women empowerment. I have a program on called the Damongo Constituency Women Empowerment Intervention, which we've rolled out a whole lot of interventions, skills training centers, helping them with credits, little credits, so that they can start businesses and enterprises and so on and so forth. Because I always take the attitude that when you empower a woman, the home is covered, right? Because people like Bola Ray, you empower them, you never know what the tendencies will be. Maybe they want to have 2 or 3 more wives, you never know.
It's one for all. It's one for all.
But as for the women, when you empower them, come with me. Yes. They will be male at home,
I'll be
and then they will try and pay school fees and all of that. So that's for
the
me.
Third one. You talk about education, you talk about agriculture.
Yes,
empowering women.
Yes.
The fourth one.
Yes, I think road network.
Road network.
Yeah, we've done a lot.
You have fantastic road network.
Yes, we've done. First of all, we've done asphalt overlay in the whole of Damongo, which is the first in the history of Savannah region. There's no town in Savannah region with asphalt overlay. We've done about 15 kilometers of asphalt overlay, and we've done a lot of roads.
Honorable, we'll fact check this.
No, go and check.
Team, yes, they are on standby.
Asphalt overlay. And
that is it. It's there. Perfect.
When you get into Damongo, you get into a mountainous area. Right after the mountainous area, you get to the military camp there on your right. From the military camp all through the town, we've asphalted the main township of Damongo. We've asphalted every corner of it, and there you have also the situation where we have constructed the roads even into unsettled areas. Okay. Yeah, so that the town is planned. And guess what? On June,
you must have a beautiful constituency then. I think I would love
you should
to
come on. I will invite you to come over. And guess what? On June 14th, I'm launching the Member of Parliament Greening Damongo project, where we are going to plant a considerable number of trees, the same type of trees. Savannah, they call it Savannah species, some species, which we are going to plant in all the alleys of Damongo, in all the medians of Damongo, across. Look, and my friend Asenso and Radana is the Minister for Roads.
Exactly.
And so I went to see him and say, hey, Jack, you're the Minister for Roads. So he's put a very strong contractor in Damongo who is building the town roads as we speak.
And the last one will be?
Well, the last intervention, the fifth intervention, I will say, will be social amenities, basic social amenities. I mean, a town like Damongo didn't have a community center.
You have an AstroTurf?
Yeah, we do.
Right.
Three of them, 2 done, 1 about to be completed. And then we have a community center today as we speak. On June 14th, I launched the Greening Damongo thing in the morning, and then in the afternoon I'm going to Larabange to commission a very beautiful ultra-modern maternity block for them, and also give them an ambulance. We've done AstroTurf. We are now having a water project in Damongo. I've worked with the Ghana Water Company, Clifford, a very good friend of mine, and we've worked together very closely to bring water to Damongo. The contractor is on site and working. I could give you a seat one, I could give you a 7-1. Well, the most important thing in my view, in public service, is you do your best for the people. you are respectful of them, you are accountable to them, and the rest of it will follow.
Larabanga Mosque is in your constituency.
Yes.
I think that as a minister and also the MP for the area, I believe that we need to do a lot more for Larabanga Mosque. Great tourist attraction. People should be able to catch a flight and go out there to see this great mosque. Stories should be told. Documentaries of the mosque, and I throw a challenge to you, Honorable Minister, that let's position that the mosque, the Larabanga.
Lead it for me, Bola Ray.
To be out there. Let's talk about the election. Still on it. It's a street fight between Dr. Bawumia and former President John Dramani Mahama. What makes you think or so sure that Dr. Bawumia will win this election?
Well, it's going to be a difficult election. There's absolutely no two ways about that. I think everybody has to brace themselves for that. And the reasons are obvious. When you do a second term and you're trying to do a third term, everywhere in the world, it's always a bit difficult. The global economic situation, which is arisen not by my saying or making, but that's a fact, arisen as out of COVID-19 and the geopolitical situation across the world in terms of the Russia-Ukraine war and all of that, has meant that some considerable difficulties have arisen in Ghana. There's no two ways about them. But look, Bola, Dr. Bawumia is a phenomenal candidate. He's an extraordinary candidate. I think the MPP really has been very strategic in electing him as the flag bearer of the MPP. And he brings something considerable to the table. He's shown and demonstrated as vice president that he's capable, and some of the interventions that he's led, some of the projects he's championed, digitization, you talk about the drone system for delivery, medical, gold for oil, paperless port system, so many things which he's championed as vice president, which shows that he's a candidate of ideas and that given the opportunity, he's capable of taking this country to the next chapter. Now, I always make this point that, look, people may have issues with a government. People may be dissatisfied with some conduct of the government and so on and so on. But election settles on two fundamental things. First is the record. And I think that President Akufo-Addo's record is impeccable.
Do you see it as a stellar performance?
I think it's been extraordinary. I think his record is solid. Yes, there are challenges, there are difficulties. We have to recognize those. There's no point in behaving as an ostrich and pretending that there are no difficulties. There are difficulties. That's a fact. There are difficulties in England. There are difficulties in America. There are difficulties everywhere in the world. There are difficulties in Ghana. There are issues with cost of living. That's a fact. But that is not it is not the making
Isn't that
of
a
the
yardstick for people to be assessed, especially Dr. Bawumia?
With the greatest of respect, that by any objective observer and analyst is not the making of Akufo-Addo and his government. It's not as a result of Akufo-Addo's policies, actions or inactions which has brought us where we are.
Isn't that what you promised in 2016, that yes, it's due to bad governance, so you are coming to change it regardless of what happens, and you feel that it's the time to actually handle the economy well? No. So if you say it cannot be attributed to...
In 2016, the economy was down. In fact, it was worse than it was today. The same Akufo-Addo and his government worked our way out of that situation and got the country to a point where we're having the highest economic growth in the world. And so the difficulties we have today, the question that has to be asked is that what measures is the government putting in place and what is the forecast? Where are we heading to? Clearly, we are not out of the woods yet. Clearly, we still have difficulties, considerable difficulties, I should say. But nonetheless, it is clear that the government has a plan, the government has a program, the government is implementing and executing the plan and the program efficiently and competently, and there is light at the end of the tunnel. We'll get out of them. Finally, and in my view, more importantly, having talked about the record, which I think the record is impeccable, and having talked about the difficulties that we have to recognize that we find ourselves in, and the fact that the government's program is working, all of those said, then comes to the second issue, which is that elections are about choices. It's a choice. It's a choice. Now, you may have a problem with the government, that the government didn't build this road, or the government didn't extend electricity to your community, or the government did this, that, and that. All of those are fine. Citizens are allowed to be upset with their government. Citizens are allowed to demonstrate against their government. In fact, in other parts of the world, citizens will even throw an egg on the prime minister. It's all allowed.
So that's fair.
Yeah, it's all fair. It's fair game. As I speak here, I'll be damn surprised if there are not people watching me and saying that, look at this silly young man, you know, rabble rousing.
You expect that, yeah.
And it's all allowed. It's all fine. That's democracy. If you don't want that, then you don't practice democracy. You have to go for dictatorship, where people cannot speak out. But all of those said, on 7th December this year, the Ghanaian people are going to make a choice. They make a choice between Dr. Bawumia and former President Mahama. They make a choice that Dr. Bawumia becomes president in 2025 or former President Mahama becomes president in 2025. Those who will not even vote, if they used to vote for MPP and they don't vote, they voted with their feet. They've actually cast a vote constructively, which is that they are going to have President Mahama invariably as president. If they voted NDC in the past and they don't vote, they voted with their feet. It means that they are going to vicariously have Dr. Bawumia as president. So it's a choice between Dr. Bawumia and President Mahama.
It's a street fight.
And what are the choices? I'll just give you three. There are a lot of them. So you go to vote on December 7th. If you vote for Dr. Bawumia, it means that you are going to have free SHS retained and enhanced and improved. That's the choice. If you vote Dr. Bawumia and the MPP, it will mean that you have a president who will be committed to free SHS, who will improve free SHS, who will perfect free SHS, and free SHS will continue to be part and parcel of Ghanaian life, and people will not pay fees at secondary level. If you vote for former President Mahama, you're voting for somebody who's been palpably against free SHS from the very day, from the get-go. So these are the choices. You have to make the choice. If you vote for Dr. Bawumia, you're voting for somebody who's never been president before, who's now asking for your mandate to become president, who's put his bold ideas, bold solutions for the future, who set out clearly what he will do. He says he will bring a new tax code, he will bring an amnesty, and wipe out people's taxes, and we'll start from afresh, and we'll have a more...
Why can't he do that now?
Well, he doesn't have the mandate.
But he's with the president. He's the vice president.
Apart from him not having a mandate, more importantly, in fact, he not being the president is not even so consequential. But more importantly, the challenges and matters that President Akufo-Addo had to deal with in the 7 years post Mahama presidency and Akufo-Addo's time are different from post Akufo-Addo presidency. There are two different eras.
But he's still the vice president. He can suggest. Actually...
The times are different. Akufo-Addo is implemented free SHS.
Right.
If Dr. Bawumia, Vice President Bawumia says he's going to give all disabled, he's going to give all disabled students to tertiary institutions free tertiary education. Somebody then will ask the question, why didn't Dr. Bawumia implement it now? You couldn't have implemented free SHS concurrently with implementing some form of free tertiary education. If Akufo-Addo had inherited free SHS in 2017, he probably could have built on from there to give you free tertiary education.
That is his game plan to also be unique, and he cannot do that. Is that not the same?
No. Yeah. Those people who say that, why didn't Bawumia do this when he was vice president?
Correct.
The matters that Akufo-Addo and Bawumia had to deal with post-2016 are going to be fundamentally different from the matters that Bawumia, God willing, President Bawumia will deal with 2025.
He's the vice president. He goes with the president. He can also proffer ideas and say, look, I believe that we can introduce this. But he's done that with digitalization. So how about that?
I don't dispute
going digital. Is he not the vice president who's pushing that agenda and it's being implemented?
I don't dispute that. I don't dispute that he was a vice president. The digitization he has championed under President Akufo-Addo.
Right.
Okay. The digitization he has championed under President Akufo-Addo. He's going to take it to a notch further when he becomes president, because you have to. Development is a process. You don't have all the resources to implement everything at the same time. But I'm saying to you that some of the things that Bawumia says he will do, Those can be done from 2025.
When he's president.
Those within our fiscal space, those within our current situation may not have been possible this time around. They will be possible.
So, Honorable Minister, even if he has the idea and the wise counsel to make sure that we implement that, look at the dollar, jumping up like, we all don't want that. Can't he do something about it? Must he wait till 2025 when he becomes president?
But the lot is being done about those things. And the issue of our economy, our currency, and everything to do with our national economy and our public finances are there for public scrutiny. And I think that is known to many people.
Because we want financial stability.
And of course everybody does. And it's important that Ghanaians get financial stability. They deserve it so that they can plan their lives, they can plan their businesses, and so on and so forth. In the United Kingdom, not too long ago, inflation was about 11%, which is totally unprecedented. The currency depreciated considerably across the world, economic turmoil across the world. But here you are where the government has a program, which the government is implementing the program. And I'm saying that all the experts, all the pundits, all the institutions, the forecast, the credible ones, are forecasting that things are going to get much better as we move forward.
Is it going to get better before September?
It's going to get better and even better as we move forward down the road. And God willing, beyond 2024, it's going to get even much, much more better. It is a question of having a plan and a program which is working.
And Dr. Bawumia has that plan.
He definitely does.
In 2000, the MVP said, look at your living conditions. She was sitting in Natuabapa and vote. 24 years later, Honorable Minister, should the voters do same?
Yeah, the voters must put everything in a basket. The voters must put everything in a basket. And as I say, the voters will put everything in a basket and make a choice between the two principal contenders and make a choice between the two political parties. Always and always remember, my friend Bola, always remember that the NDC candidate has been president before. He's been vice president. In fact, he began as a minister. He was deputy minister. He became a minister. He became a vice president. He became a president. He was vice president and president for 8 years. And I will say this. Look, I'm a politician. I'm MPP. I will fight in the corner of the MPP. But I think our country has become very sophisticated. And I particularly am excited about that. Especially the youth of our country have become absolutely sophisticated. And the days when there's a breakdown in telephone connectivity, a presidential candidate will come and say, if you vote for me, I will fix your telephony issues for you. Or the days that if the lights are not coming on, a politician will come and say, when I come, the lights will be on. Or the days that if you have a little problem or some problem, a presidential candidate will come and say, please, I think Ghanaians, and I'm very excited about that. Young Ghanaians have become totally, I flew from Kumasi to Force anniversary not long ago, and I sat by a young lady on the flight. She's 19 years, I think, or 20 or something. She came UST. There was a break, so she was coming home to her family, and I engaged. I had a conversation with her. She didn't know me. She didn't know me. I didn't introduce myself. We sat there, we had a chat, and their thinking is high level now. She did a proper analysis for me. MPP Bawumia, NDC President Mahama, and so on and so on. So President Mahama has been president before. So we're going to make a choice between Dr. Bawumia and President Mahama. And I will say to you that, look, this candidate of the MPP, he's really distinguished himself in many ways. Man of integrity, extraordinary integrity. Since he's been vice president for 7 years, Bola, nobody's even leveled an allegation, let alone a proven allegation of corruption. No, not even once. He's shown that he's not your everyday politician. He's there, he's a worker, he's there to work, and he works very hard. I know him, I've worked closely with him. He works extraordinarily hard.
So you believe that
he has ideas, he has both solutions.
Dr. Bawumia will be the president of Ghana?
Look, I don't like to take the voters for granted. We will have to go to the voters to ask for their mandate.
But you're optimistic.
I will tell you what I think. We will have to go to the voters to ask for their mandate. We will have to go to the voters to make a case to them. We will have to go and tell them our record. We'll have to defend our record. We will have to contextualize our record. It's important that we contextualize our record. We will have to tell them what we are capable of delivering to them come 2025, if they vote for us, we will have to campaign hard as the vice president, the candidate, is doing now. But I'm very, 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 very confident and optimistic that Dr. Bawumia will become the next president of our country, God willing, and with the support of the good people of Ghana. They will vote for him. He's a decent man. He's a dignified man who wants to help, who wants to work for this country.
On that score, and as we, get ready to touch down, many have also brought into the arena the issue of a running mate. Do you have anybody in mind that you feel that should be the perfect running mate to make it a stronger ticket for Dr. Bawumia? Any names?
The elections is a presidential elections. So it's Dr. Bawumia who has to win the elections for the MPP.
Correct.
Yeah, and
but you don't believe that
and
getting
win the
somebody
elections
to
and win the elections for the country. So it's not a running mate who's going to win the election. And I think he's more than capable, if we put our acts together and we support him, to win the elections for the MPP.
But definitely he
and win the elections for the country.
A running mate that he will go into the elections with.
So that's the first point. So I don't place too much emphasis on running mate or who becomes running mate. My attitude is very simple. He is our leader. We've reposed our confidence in him, rightly so. Whoever he settles on, we will support him. And the MPP is known to be a party of vast human resource. We have so many people across the length and breadth of this country who can partner him and who can help him campaign to win, and who can strengthen the ticket and who can help him govern. So whoever he settles on,
you are ready to support.
I support.
You believe that's the stance of many MPP folks.
There are so many people across. I don't know, Bola, if you're MPP. If you're MPP, you look like a vice president, actually. Look at you. With your tie and everything. You can be a running mate. No, you. I think you rather.
So you support anyone of Dr.
Whoever the candidate settles on, I am all for the person.
Fantastic. As we wrap it all up, we're coming to the mystery question. But what's your favorite hobby? When you're not in the office, because before this interview, many said, look, you're going to interview. When I put the flyer up, he's a workaholic. He works, 18 hours of the day, and he's always on the move. Do you get time to relax, Honorable Minister?
Well, that's very kind of those who say that about me, and I thank them very much. But I took a very simple attitude when I was given this opportunity. I said to myself, and I hope that I've done well at it. I mean, I can judge whether I've done well or not. The population and those who follow me, I mean, it's not everybody who even cares about me, actually, who follow me will have to make that judgment. I took the attitude that, look, I don't want a situation where I'm seen as some young man, Akufo-Addo's pet boy, whom he likes so much that he's given a job to, and he's just here enjoying himself and enjoying the perks of office and arrogant and rude. And no, I pray to God, and I've always reminded myself of that. And my partner in life, my wife and my parents and the rest are all aware of this thinking. If I'm veering off, they are required to call me to order. And so I had to try my best, and not just me. A good number of my friends in government who've done so too.
So what's your hobby?
Kojo Oponkroma has been spectacular. He's done very well. Held his own. Honorable Asen Subuachi, my friend, is also held his own. Extraordinary. The young ones across the CEOs, Samuel Oku and the rest have all been holding them. I think that's the correct attitude. So that's it. My hobby, I like to sit around the table with friends. Okay. Have a drink, eat, talk.
On a good day, is it cognac, whiskey, or gin for you? On a very good evening after a hard day's work.
There's a friend of mine, an old Englishman, whom a friend of mine introduced me to. Oh, he's late. He died last year. English rich man who's practiced law, made some money. When you call him, and then you ask him, QC, how are you? He says, come and find out.
I love that.
You say what? Cognac, whiskey. Come and find out.
Come and find out.
Or juice.
Or juice.
Come and find out.
Honorable, time for our mystery question before we wrap it all up. So can you pick one and then read it out for us, please? What do you have right there?
You picked it for me, though.
Okay,
Let me
so
pick
you
it myself.
Okay, so pick it. All right, pick it. You are going to read the two anyway, so don't.
Oh, both.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes. What does it say, please?
Oh, who will you say has been the best president Ghana has had in the Fourth Republic? Well, but I won't be an objective person to answer this question. My answer will be biased. President Akufo-Addo.
Hands down. All right. So the next one will be.
But President Akufo has also been an extraordinary president.
Fantastic.
I have to put that on record.
Sure.
He's been an extraordinary president indeed.
Well noted.
Yes, then the next question. Huh?
Yes.
Okay. Hey, if I had to choose between my brother John Jinapor and any other from the MPP as president of Ghana, who will I choose? Family or party?
Yes, Honorable. When John comes to tell you that, look,
but the choosing is done in a voting booth.
That's right.
And it's secret ballot.
Oh, but your vote is your power. Push to the wall. Who will you go for on that day?
You know, interestingly, interestingly, in 2016, I voted in his constituency, John.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And he was a candidate.
Did you vote for him?
When I went there to campaign with the president, I mounted a platform and said he should vote for his opponent. He was very unhappy about that.
Interesting. So we know what your answer will be then, right?
If it's John and an MPP candidate.
Yes.
Strong party man.
Strong party man.
I vote for my party candidate.
So party over family.
Party over on president.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. It's been an engaging moment, very insightful indeed. And certainly we wish you the very best for tomorrow.
Thank you, Bola.
Green Ghana Day. We say go all out and continue to make Ghana proud.
Yes.
As we wrap it all up as well, your wonderful family, what do you want to, especially your daughters, what do you want to say to them? Because yes, they are listening, they are watching. What is your message for them?
Oh yes. I mean, I'm always very reluctant to say these things because, like many Ghanaian families, what I say to them, they've been awesome. I've been very lucky. I have a very supportive, understanding, and industrious wife, who's extraordinary. She always teases me that if she had not married me, I'll be like a monkey on a tree.
She's brought some verb into your life, without a doubt.
Eating banana. And then I'll tell her, that, don't worry, I'll do it all over again 1 million times. 1 million times.
Right.
So to my girl, Jada Michelle, Nifa, Titiaka, I said, I love you so much. You know that. I love them unconditionally.
Lovely.
And they should continue to make Daddy and Mommy proud. We love them, indeed.
Indeed. A family man by all standards. What's your favorite holiday destination?
Mognore. Do you know Mognore?
No.
It's in Damongo. Come around, I'll take you there.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Honorable Minister.
Bola.
For talking to us right here on Star Chat. So a very big thank you to our sponsors and to you out there for listening and watching. My name is Bola Ray. Thank you and have a wonderful time.